Started to get interested in pickleball, but I couldn't find a rebounder anywhere. I got a request. You made a good tennis ball rebounder. How about a pickleball one? Well, here you go. I'll show you the quick and easy steps to make this pickleball rebounder for about $10 to $15. Interested? Here we go. The supplies for this build are fairly inexpensive, so let's go through. This is two 17-inch pieces of half-inch PVC, two half-inch PVC couplers, one half-inch PVC end cap, 3 screws. These are 1 inch, depending on which weight you happen to be using or combination. A 1/2 inch thick 3/4 inch piece of dowel, a piece of 7/8 inch dowel that has been sanded down and it's got a little groove here. This is just round elastic cord. It's got a nice sheath on it. So it's right around 1/16 inch cord. And that's perfect for the lightweight pickleball. Originally I was starting out with pieces of plywood, and then I found this plaque at a hobby store, or actually a Walmart, and it was only a couple dollars. It's a nice solid piece of wood. It's got a nice little beveled edge on there, and it actually is thicker than tennis ball rebounder, which was my first generation or prototype for making the pickleball rebounder. And then you want to finish it off with some sort of spray paint. This is the green I used on this one. It's meadow green, but I'm not partial to Rust-Oleum. I also use Krylon. You could use blue, and you wouldn't have to stay with a white vertical pipe. You could wrap this with electrical tape, any color that you wanted, duct tape, or actually paint it. But I'm going to keep it standard white for now. And then you'll need some sort of weight. This is a 2.5 pound weight. This is a 2.5 pound weight. You can see there are different configurations. This one you can tie in with screws. This one actually just goes over the coupler, so that works out well. And if you had a 5 pound weight, that would be ideal. This has been a bit of a journey. I originally started out with a 5-gallon bucket lid, but I found that you couldn't put that guy on there. It would wobble too much, just not enough strength. So I went back to my original design. This is my tennis ball rebounder. I'll post up here a link to that. It seems to be pretty popular. You can see the profile is really close to the ground, which is great for the tennis ball, but for some reason the pickleball wasn't working very well. So I decided to go one up from there, and I came up with this design. Now you can see that I drilled a hole through the dowel, and I had the coupler there. And what if you couldn't find something, because some of the comments were you couldn't find this weight specifically, and that's about a 1 inch hole there. So what if you couldn't do that? So I came up with this screw design that I played around with, but once again it did wobble a little bit. So since the 2.5 pounds wasn't doing it, I moved up to a 10 pound weight, and this base didn't move at all. It worked out fairly well, but I thought it was a bit of an overkill, and depending on who's using the pickleball rebounder or warm-up device or trainer or whatever you want to call it, I thought this might be hard to carry. If I had a 5 pound weight like that, it'd probably come out to about here, and that would be the most ideal. But I didn't have 5 pounds, so I stacked two 2.5s to get the 5 pounds. It's compact, it's not too hard to carry, worked out great. The thing is not everybody's going to be able to cut out a base like this. So that's why the plaque was such a great deal, because this is going to be just as strong as this guy, serve its purpose perfectly. So this is where the build's going to go. So I'm going to take that little guy off there, don't need the hinge at all. And so this is 17-inch pipe. It's half the height of a standard pickleball net. The way I intentionally made it is that it's portable. You can break it down, the business end, and there you go. Put that in a bag, backpack, what have you. It's going to work out great for you. Now, to find the center of this, different approaches you can use. This is a coffee can lid with a hole in it. I was actually using this for one of my prototypes. Get close to the center and just take a Phillips screwdriver or whatever and put a little divot in there. It doesn't have to be sophisticated. Now, how close is that? So 172 millimeters divided by 2 is 86. So what do we have here? Oh, look at that. Right on 86. So let's just spin it again, see if we can get 86 again. Yeah, pretty close. Spin it again. Pretty close. Not exact. We're off by a millimeter, it looks like. Alright, so maybe just a little bit over. And the great thing about using a Phillips head is you put a nice little X, marks the spot kind of thing. If you haven't purchased the 1/2 inch end cap yet, you can look around, and some of them will have a nice little flat center piece. I'm trying to get it so that it will show on the camera. It probably won't. but there's a little flat circle, and then that's your target for the center of that. And then I'll try to do the same thing here. It's a little trickier. See, I got off the hole there. I even got off the center there. So that's a problem, so we're gonna have to... Alright, so that was a little better the second time. You can see maybe where I put the first divot off to the side, no good. That's the divot I want. And then I'll hit that a bunch of times, and I'm actually going to drill through this way because that's where I know where the center is. Before I drill the hole, I'm actually going to sand this down and file it down to make that smooth so that when the eyelet's in place, there won't be any rubbing. And then for this plug for the other side, I used a 3/4 inch dowel, put a hole in it just big enough. You can see that just slips down in there, and I want to make sure there's plenty of room right here for the PVC pipe to go on, because that's going to be a friction fit. And then if you're having problems, you just take a thin screwdriver, put it in the eye, and you can certainly glue this plug in place if need be. And it's going right in. Alright, that's in there pretty good. We'll do a test. Yeah, that'll fit in there well. And now we're going to put the dowel into that one. Here we go. Alright, so you can see it's in there all that way. Now I'm just going to cut it off here, flush with this coupler, off like this. And that's pretty flush. Sand it down just a tad, and there you go. X marks the spot. So here we go. It's a little sacrificial piece of wood there. Alright, all the way through on that. Now I'll do the same thing to this guy. Alright, so all the way through. Take these guys off. I'm going to put a little bevel on the outside here so that the screw is flush. This is just a little hand bevel kit that I got. It comes with these 3 things here. You match it up to your screw head, try to get close, and then you can just, you don't even have to drill it. And this is soft enough wood that it's not going to be a problem. Just enough to try to get it to go flush. So I've put the screw in place, and it's just starting to pop out now. I'm actually going to put it in a little bit more. Alright, so I've got the screw in there. I've put some glue on. Come on, guy. And then just go from there, and hopefully it'll work. Yep, nice and flush on the outside. That's nice and solid. Give it a couple twists and just make sure it gets down in place. And that screw is sticking out. Maybe you could use a 1 3/4 inch screw, but I didn't have that. Take a paper towel and just wipe off the excess. Wood glue is a great thing. That stuff will dry up pretty quickly. So I've taken some paper and I've jammed it into that hole, because when I paint this, I don't want any paint to get inside, but I do want to paint the rim and everything else. You can see I painted this weight for this design just to make it match a little better. So this is going to be on the top, this is going to be on the bottom, so I'm actually going to paint this. While the paint's drying, I'm going to take off this kind of lettering. I've done most of it, but I just wanted to show you that what I'm using is some acetone, and you want to make sure you do this in a well ventilated area. You just put some on there like that and rub. You got to rotate your, this is, in this case it's just a paper towel. If you're not careful you can gray it out. And so that's the easiest way that I found of getting that labeling off. Now if you're going to tape over this, recommend taping over painting. You can use electrical tape, you can use duct tape of different colors, customize it and make it your own. Got them back from painting. I did both sides. You can use this outside and the wood will be fine, but I want a little bit more grip. And the way I'm going to accomplish that is by using an old inner tube. See how big of a piece I need? This may take a couple pieces. This is a mountain bike inner tube, so I'm just following the line, and that will just give me a little extra grip. Now you got that powder inside, you can just clean all that extra stuff off. So let's lay that guy in there. Okay, so yeah, 2 pieces is going, looks like that's what it's going to be. So get another piece, cut that off and repeat. And those 2 guys, and then just check on the other side. Yeah, that's going to work out great. So what I got to do is just cut using a straight edge, and it's just the metal ruler. I'm just going to come down here, minimize the cutting, but just taking a straight box cutter, and it should come off. do it again for the other side, is we're gonna take, and this is just double stick tape. They call it carpet tape. It's not the thickest carpet tape there is, but it's pretty good. Carpet tape's gonna run this way, and this is gonna run this way. Try not to waste too much. And then you turn it over, like that. Use the cutter, and just trim along the edge for a perfect fit. Yeah, right there like that. Cut that guy off on this side. Now I might just pull it over here a little bit to get to the edge and leave the gap there. You don't want to leave the gap on the edge if you can avoid it. Put my duct tape roll down there, put this guy down in here. I have marked the straight edge sides. Made it up really well. Okay, good. It's gonna work. It's gonna get good coverage. Now I'm gonna pull these guys off. All right, go. Put my piece down. I wanna center it to make sure I got complete coverage. And just lay it down flat like this. Push down on it, get it in place. And then do the same thing for the other side. Nice flush fit. Remember, I put all that newspaper in there to protect the, kind of as a plug. And at this point, I've invested a lot of time in this wood, in this project, so I'm just gonna have a little starter hole just to make sure that the wood doesn't split. Just a little extra precaution. Cut that out. And I've got this resting on here so I didn't drill through my cutting pad there. So now I got a Phillips head on my drill. I'm just gonna send these guys home. They're below the top of the weight. It's not gonna fall off. If this happened to be a 5-pound plate, it'd probably come out to around here. It'd go over with the base. It's really not that big of a deal. It'd be completely fine. You just either screw it in place because the hole's too big, or just lay that guy flat down on there if it happens to have a hole like that. So you're in the home stretch, and then you're gonna need some sort of barrel swivel. This one is a size 1/0. This guy's a size 1. These are barrel swivels with a little bit of hinge on there to make it a little easier on you. The good thing about this is that you can just clip it on. So here you got the size 1, and it works out well. So I'll show you how I built that up. Basically what I did is in order to get that guy on the inside, I just took a pair of pliers like this and pulled against it until it was just big enough, that guy in, and then I just clamped it off nice and tight. Now you're gonna take 60 inches of this round elastic cord. You're gonna make a loop that's 1.5 inches on one end, just an overhand knot, and then you'll need a bead and this clamp thing. You don't need this. This is just something I came up with. You can certainly just do an overhand knot. This is the way to shorten the cord, a little more sophisticated, I guess. So you run that guy in here like this, bring him down like that, put the bead inside. It can be any bead, it can be almost anything. It doesn't have to be big at all. It just is to keep from the line passing in through there. That will allow you to shorten up the line depending on how you want the rebounder to work. It works at all different lengths depending on your experience and how hard the contact is with the paddle and the ball. So you're just going to run it through here like this, run it all the way around the end like that, and this is the longer end. If for some reason you don't have this set up, that's purely optional. You can accomplish the same thing by just doing an overhand loop. I thought it was kind of an interesting little approach, and so I'm including that in this build. And then on this end, you want to do another overhand knot, and this guy doesn't have to be that long. And then I just realized I'm gonna have to take this off because I have to pass this guy through that end to get it on the outdoor ball. So this loop is just about 3/4 of an inch, and then all I've done is make a little hook out of a paper clip. That helps me hook this guy and bring him to the other side like that. Now I'm doing it across angle like this. You could certainly just do it side to side. I'm going to try the angle this time. And then you just run this whole system through this end. There you go. And then just run it all the way down. And then I try to bury that end on the inside of the ball like that. Now you go back, run it through here, around the end cap, through the woods to grandmother's house you go. You're gonna take this coupler and you're gonna use something like Rapid Fuse. I wouldn't use super glue because that doesn't give you enough time. Rapid Fuse gives you about 30 seconds. It only takes a couple drops, and then you just pick one of the pipes. I'm gonna pick this one and press it down. And if you have to, whack it with a mallet. Doesn't take much, and there you go. And that's going to set up pretty quickly, and then that will give you the ability to make the net size. And if you're having a little problem, just take some sandpaper and kind of sand that down a little bit to help it get in place. Here we go. It's a workout. Here we go. I think the 2-post has value. It's a little different. It's not as low to the ground. It's more kind of lobbing over the net. But I'd be interested to see what you guys think. So post your comments below. This is version 1.5, 2.0. I think I can make it better, but I want to get it out there in the community so I can get some feedback and tell me what I might be getting right and what I might be getting wrong. Doing it down low like this didn't seem to work well because it's such a light ball, and you got to really kind of use this thinner bungee cord. Thumbs up and comments, always appreciated. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more pickleball builds, probably of this guy. If you're interested in this kind of thing, check out and subscribe to my channel. I do all sorts of crazy builds on sports related, home repairs, cosplay, just pretty much anything that comes to mind.